Hi everybody, this is the baseball head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, Hunter. Welcome back to the baseball head. Hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Hopefully, again, currently right now, I need one more member so we can display all the members that are on the channel on your phone. You can check it out. So you got to hit that. The reason I'm asking for memberships and pushing real hard for it, I'd love to get a new computer for this channel, so I can record the videos on the computer rather than on my phone, which I always do. But I'd like to be able to record that on the computer. The quality of the videos will be much better. Sound quality will be much better, but I need you to become members. I'm looking for about 30 to 40 people. That way I can pay for it monthly, depending on the kind of computer I want, and be able to do it within a year at a very reasonable rate. I would hope I wouldn't have to add an extra tier onto the membership, but we'll see. So a lot of stuff going on with Pete Alonso today. A lot of sort of, just insane stuff, and why this deal has not been signed for him. He has screwed up this so royally. And I put this on Pete because he hired Boras after he turned down the initial deal that the Mets offered him 2 years ago now at the 2023 All-Star break. And I got some teams here that could be involved. I don't know how true this is, but we'll see. We'll start with SNY. Pete Alonso free agency buzz. Scott Boras reportedly using Prince Fielder's massive deals comparison. What? Alonso reportedly turned down a 7-year extension with the Mets during the 2023 season. And this is the latest. This is from this morning. Alonso's agent Scott Boras is using a 9-year, $214 million deal Prince Fielder signed before the 2012 season with the Tigers as a comparison for what Alonso should get, reports Bob Nightingale of USA Today. When Fielder inked that contract, he was entering his age 28 season. Pete is entering his age 30 season. Was coming off a year where he had a 981 OPS and had a career OPS of 929 and 7 big league seasons to that point. Alonso had a 788 OPS last season, and his career OPS is 854. Fielder retired just over halfway through that deal following the 2016 season. He obviously had, a bad neck injury. Nightingale notes that teams are reluctant to go anywhere near that deal for Alonso. According to Nightingale, there are 8 teams showing at least some interest in Alonso. One of those teams is the Mets. And 2 others that have recently been connected are the Giants and Angels. The Blue Jays and Red Sox are also interested, according to the Nightingale. According to numerous reports, including SNY's little Andy Martino, the likely outcome is Alonso returning to the Mets on a shorter-term deal. Now I'm going to point something out very clearly to a lot of people. I went through the numbers of Prince Fielder. Prince Fielder, in comparison to Pete Alonso and to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., was a better player at a younger age than they were combined. Consistently good. Consistently a real strong home run hitter. And again, people keep telling me that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a generational player. You see Prince Fielder's numbers from when he played, they are better than Vladimir Guerrero by far. And they're better than Pete's. The only difference is that he had fewer home runs than Pete did. He drove in a hell of a lot more runs than Pete has and struck out less, believe it or not. Now here's some little Andy from SNY. Details on Pete Alonso alternatives for the Mets. And this will give you an idea of how this is getting me very uptight and now, because I don't like what some of the things that are going to be discussed here in this article, and I read it before. And they'll get to the youth movement. This is where it starts. And infield youth movement. This seems like the most probable scenario if Alonso departs. A spring training without Alonso would see Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty, Luis Angel Cunha, Ronnie Mauricio, and others all getting reps at third base. And most of those players seeing time at first base too. It would not necessarily mean declaring a full-time third and first baseman at the beginning or end of the camp, but leaning into versatility this season. But we know one thing, Mark Vientos will be playing every day. Unless he falls off the cliff from what he did last year, he'll be playing every day. In this scenario, the Mets could supplement the current group with veteran utility infielder. Think a Jose Iglesias type, if not necessarily Iglesias himself. Now, I'm hearing rumors that the Mariners are talking to Iglesias, and they want to give him a deal, a 2-year deal. Don't go anywhere near that. I think I've said this a few times. Jose Iglesias is a good story. He's 35 years old going into this season. You don't give a 35-year-old a 2-year deal. Not a middle infielder who, by the way, wasn't in the majors in 2023. I know people like him. I personally like him. He seems like a nice guy, but I would be very careful. President of Baseball Operations, David Stearns, has a track record of adding to and tweaking teams during the season, too. The opening day infield, and for that matter, the opening day offense, is not overly significant marker for the Mets, who see the roster as a living document. Adding an outfielder or a designated hitter. The Mets decide to add a bat before opening day. They could sign a outfielder or DH type. Jesse Winker is a possibility to return. Jurickson Profar could fit by playing some outfield and some first base. Now, he's been a very good player for the Padres. Could he handle New York? I don't know. Anthony Santander, who has reportedly received a contract offer from the Blue Jays, is less likely for New York. One consideration, adding a full-time DH could squeeze Starlin Marte off the roster, subtracting his potential offensive contributions. Now, here's the thing about Marte. There's not a lot of power there now. So that's the one thing that's a concern for your host, is whether they would do that. I don't know if he's going to be here. I think there's less than 25. I think 25% chance he'll be here with the Mets. Trade for a first baseman. Despite speculation about Tampa Bay infielders Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lowe as trade targets, teams in contact with the Rays say that neither player is currently available. Tampa Bay, needing the offense, plans to hold on to both to start the season, rivals say. In big part because the Rays are playing home games this season at the Yankees spring training stadium. The team is seen as a less than appealing destination for free agents this winter and need to hold on to the bats that they have. Luis Arias, linked this week to the Yankees, could also come into play as a stopgap first base option for the Mets, but that is a long way from becoming reality. San Diego's suddenly contentious ownership situation has left other teams uncertain of the team's off-season direction. Now, this thing about Arias, he has no power. When I see him at first base with the Mets, I think of one name from the past, Doug Mankiewicz. Doug Mankiewicz had zero power when he got to the Mets. According to one league source, Boston has discussed with first baseman Tristan Casas, at least one other club, not the Mets, and was seeking young pitchers in return. Or obviously the Red Sox is less likely to trade him than reports indicate. It's not impossible he could come into play for the Mets, which would open up a spot in Boston for Alonso on a team starving for star power. Finally, in this article by Little Andy, this seems like the least likely Alonso alternative. Alex Bregman carries the same aging curve questions as Alonso about being a popular homegrown star in New York. It's virtually impossible to imagine Bregman as a Met unless he accepts a short-term deal. Scott Boras is branded pillow contract. In that scenario, he'd suddenly be a consideration. I don't know what's going on, Bregman. It's the same thing. Is Bregman and Alonso going to do what the guys did last year, where they sort of jerked them around for the whole offseason, didn't sign till we got? Don't do that, because you saw all the players that did that last year. They all had terrible seasons. The only guy that was any good was JD Martinez, and then he fizzled out, and he couldn't get on the field right away for the Mets. Don't do that. Sign now. Sign within the next 2 weeks, guys. I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Now here's the thing. The Mets lose Pete. They're going to have to figure out who's going to hit for power. And this is an article from Mesmerize. The Mets need more power. Where should it come from? That's a good question. The 24 New York Mets finished the season 6th in home runs and 9th in team OPS. With the team leader in home runs, Pete Alonso, the primary DH JD Martinez, and a half dozen other players who contributed a couple of dozen home runs, and Pop are no longer on the roster. Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and Mark Vientos are a formidable power trio. Now, I would mention about Vientos. He's coming into a second year, and he did not play a full season last year. So I'm concerned you put too much pressure on him, he might fall on his face. That is a concern. That probably gets you halfway to 207. But after that, there are plenty of question marks. Brandon Nimmo may not be a consistent 25 home run guy. Francisco Alvarez took a big step back last year. Starlin Marte couldn't be counted on for 500 plate appearances. And Jeff McNeil teeters between a contact hitter and a pull-happy home run hitter, all recently to middling success. And they go through a list of players here. Let's go through a list of players. Now, as I continue, please like this video and subscribe. It's right there at the top of the end of the free agency. Pete Alonso is still a free agent. It fills a massive power gap. Alex Bregman's still available, but he's not a big home run hitter. He's a 15 home run guy now. Anthony Santier has hit 105 home runs over the last 3 seasons. Since signing Juan Soto and Sean Manaea, the Mets have given no indication they're done spending. Jeff Passan reported the Mets are still looking for outfield help. And they don't really believe in Starling Marte. While none of the above tick that box, signing one lets you figure out in the outfield. Looking to the trademark, we'll just run through a couple of names. Tristan Casas and Masataka Yoshida, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They mentioned Brent Rooker, but he signed today on Tuesday a 5-year deal with the A's. So he's off the board. They mentioned Nolan Arenado. I wouldn't go there. His offense is on the downside, and you're going to be stuck with him for 3 years. The 1-year guys, and some of those are interesting guys, and some of them aren't that interesting. I would sign one of these guys anyway, just for the hell of it. Even if you brought back Pete. Jurickson Profar. Now, I would mention this. Here's the thing. You bring back Pete. You got Nimmo in left, Soto in right. You got 2 guys in center field. You could probably bring in a guy that you can mix and match him. Jurickson Profar at that point would not be a bad move. Because then you can put him in the outfield a little bit, you can put him in the infield a little bit, put him at first a little bit, DH him. You do all kinds of stuff with him. There's Jesse Winker, we mentioned Paul DeJong, Brandon Drury came up with terrible. You want to bring Mark Canna back? I don't think so. I don't care about his food reviews. Tommy Pham, possibly, but he didn't have a great year. Adam Duvall, Randall Krychek, nothing inspiring here. I mean, Profar is the guy you would think about. According to this, they said they already have enough. Some would argue that the lineup, as it stands, is enough. Soto, Lindor, and Vientos. Well, Soto does kind of take over the job of Pete with the home runs and the runs batted in, but then you need someone to protect him. Everything else is gravy. Alvarez is due for a bounce back. Nimmo has consistently hit 20 homers. The rest, McNeil, Marte, Brett Baty, and prospects like Alucin Acuna and Ronnie Mauricio are enough. I don't know about that. I would like to have another veteran player in here to provide some power here. I am not sold on this idea of giving these young kids the third base job and put Vientos at first, or have them sort of play it out. I don't really. If you want to go further in the postseason, I don't know how you are able to justify that part of the lineup. They're going to be good behind the plate, I think. I think Alvarez is going to bounce back. You know what you're getting at shortstop. You know what you're getting in right field, left field. It's that one more big bat. That's the thing you have to keep an eye on. And that's my concern for the Mets this year right now. They need another bat. And I'm not saying I want the Mets to re-sign Pete. It's all about getting him off this idea that he's going to get 9 years. He's not getting 9 years. Mets offered him 7 years. That was 2 years ago. And then they offered him 3 years, reportedly, in the last month or so. Just take the deal. Nobody will treat you better than us Met fans, aside from these grumpy old Met fans that complain about you. But they don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I would really like it to see the Mets bring him back. But these alternatives do not inspire me. If I were to sign one of these other guys, it would be Profar, because then I can bounce him in and off the line all the time. I put him left field, center, not left, right field, but center field behind, DH him a little bit. First base, I can move him around. Second base, shortstop if I need it, I can move him around, And he's been an all-star. A bit of a late bloomer, but he's been an all-star. But that's pretty much it. But this is another video on Pete. I'm going to keep doing videos on Pete till he signs. Hit the subscribe button. All the new people coming in, I welcome you. I welcome all new members of the channel. Every time you become a member, I do a video and I announce it. I send a shout out. I think it's nice to do. And of course, I'll put a link in the description of this video where you can join to become a member. People have been telling me they can't find the link. I'll also put in the pinned comment. And of course, I want to thank you for coming by. Please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.